I saw you at the Emmys. The USA Today spot was right next to E, and I didn't shout towards you in part because I knew we were going to chat here today. But I'm hoping you had a little bit of fun, you and Holland there at the Emmys a couple weeks ago, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, it was my first time getting to go as Holland's plus one. And that was a really fun, sweet thing that we had not gotten to do before. She'd been nominated for an Emmy for Hollywood, but that came out during the pandemic. And so we were doing the virtual Emmys. And so I got to sort of clap for her, but, we were at home on a virtual Emmys broadcast. So this was the first time I was like, let me hold your purse. And, are you eating enough snacks? And all those things that one does for someone they love.
All of the very helpful things on the crazy atmosphere we call a red carpet, right?
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
right.
I love that.
That is right.
All right, so there's so much to talk about with this movie. First, I guess just the era that it's set in, and I know you were doing some research about the real life trauma that took place during this time. How did that, I guess, affect you as an actress and then inform your performance as well?
Well, when I read the script, I was sort of reminded about what was happening in our country during that time period. And I do like to do research before I start a film, but I didn't want to kind of be ahead of Margaret's story. So I didn't want to know more than Margaret would have known in a funny way. And it sounds like laziness, but it just was really what my thinking was. But I did watch this documentary that Ken Burns did called The Dust Bowl. That was probably the biggest tool for me, because you were hearing firsthand accounts of people who were present for it and who lost their livelihoods and their farms and their livestock and their loved ones, and just really being able to hear it from people who actually experienced it, put it into the context of hyper real for me, so that anytime I had to sort of mine something emotional, you could really remember that this was something that really happened to people, that people were really having to go through, and that some people did not survive. And so that was a pretty profound thing to be carrying.
It's interesting hearing you talk about wanting to be prepared but not over prepared, essentially, or too prepared. We go through the same thing as journalists when we're doing these interviews as well, because there's the Larry King thought that the audience doesn't know anything, so you should go in knowing anything. And then there's Bob Costas, who's an idol of mine because I went to Syracuse. He obviously is very, very prepared. That leads me though to seeing you in this film holding a shotgun. I mean, is it something where you need to be comfortable holding it, or are you trying to put yourself in Margaret's shoes and thinking okay, would Margaret be comfortable holding this? How would she do it? Where do you fall there?
I think it was a combination of both. I think it was very important that it looked real in my hand, that I didn't not know what I was doing, because my husband absolutely would have prepared me. It was part of the, he knew he was going away to work on the railroad and to try to make money to put food on the table. And so there was a lot of preparation. It's actually a scene that is not in the movie, where you see him going around and us going through everything, so that I would know how to tie the barn and how to, do all of the things, pump water from the well. A lot of those things that Margaret probably would have known how to do, and I think Margaret probably, given how she grew up, would have known how to operate a shotgun. At the same time, she shouldn't be like a deft shooter. It should still feel terrifying to her. The prospect of killing someone or something, harming them, was more the terror or the fear around holding the gun, less that she wouldn't know how to do it, but more the consequence if she were to use it.
Which is maybe why, trying to get into your character's head, when Wallace is sitting there in her house,
yes,
and she can kill him right then and there,
yes,
she doesn't?
Yes, I think it's in front of her children. The thought that, if she can just get him to get out, and then she can lock the doors and then have that gun next to her bed and try to survive that way. But I think she really was afraid to kill him in front of her children.
And then, of course, since 2020, any era of, or any type of film, when you're dealing with something that's airborne and then you're seeing masks, albeit, in this, they're era appropriate masks and face coverings that were being used to protect yourself. But I'm curious for you, as an actress, does it hit too close to home, or does it feel different, weird, because we kind of just went through something similar, and obviously still to some degree even still use masks and face coverings in this day and age?
Yeah. I mean, it was not lost on me when I read the script. I mean, the script was written pre-pandemic. So, funnily enough, Carrie, we had not been sort of deep inside this pandemic when she was writing the script, but we were when we were shooting. So we were surrounded by the crew. Carrie and Will had masks on the entire time. The camera crew, everybody had them. We were being tested all the time. So we were still actively in that experience. So it certainly added a level of potency to what we were dealing with when we were thinking about masking the children up and going out into the air. And that idea of the air itself being able to harm you felt very real for all of us, I think.
Did you film this in Oklahoma?
We filmed it in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
What was, I guess, that experience like? What was the set like? Obviously, with certainly some effects maybe being added in, but then, also you trying to kind of figure out this surrounding.
Well, they built the house, the complete house that's in the film. Anytime you see a big wide shot, that house was built on that land. The ground was overturned to create all of that sort of dirt, dry land, and the barn was built. All of that was built. And then we shot all the interior things that happen in the house on a soundstage, also in New Mexico. So it was all on location, and all of the dust elements. There's absolutely special effects in the movie. There's no question, but a lot of it, wherever we could, was done practically. So we had giant Ritter fans all over the outside area, and they would turn it up. And sometimes I would ask them to go, greater than 75 miles per hour, pointed right at me with these giant tubes filled with all kinds of dirt and particles that were flying around. And we had a specific hand signal that we would do if the dust was too much, or I couldn't actually see, or if I got something in my eye. And all of that, we got into a little bit of a back and forth about how dangerous versus how, hyper real that they wanted to make it. And I was always like, I just want you to push it. Just put a little bit more wind on me, just a little bit more dirt in the air, because the more real it could be for me, I thought the more truthful my performance would be.
What keeps you pushing to do that?
I think I just I'm just interested in authenticity. I'm interested in a kind of rigorous honesty in my work and in my life. And so sometimes with that comes, some things you don't always want, like a big old piece of dirt in your eye. But, I didn't scratch a cornea or anything, but sometimes I would go to clean my ears at the end of the day, or the wig would come off and I would have all this dust that got underneath the lace of the wig, even though it's glued down in the front and all that. It was just like the top of a wig is like an open air. It's like a stocking or something. So it's like dirt would just get in. It would be in my scalp. It was just, we would all of the actors, we would just talk about how dirty we were, and you just could not get clean no matter what. There'd be dirt in my bed, it's didn't matter how many showers I took. It was just, there was dirt everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
But again, I guess bringing you back to, not that they were necessarily showering all the time back then, but bringing you back to that era in a sense too, to
Correct.
Give you an idea. I mean, I burned into my mind is the scene of the pillowcase with the outline of the head.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
It's within a matter of minutes. It's the moment she cleans something, and then 2 seconds later you look down and it's how can she ever get out from under this? It's just relentless. It just will not stop.
Another physical part of your performance is something we've come to know, and that's the scream. So try to, if you can, walk me through some of this. Is there a vocal warm-up before you know you're going to get into that scene? Is there some type of vocal maybe takedown afterwards to protect your voice and your vocal cords? What goes into that?
It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm screaming on stage, there is a big vocal warm-up that's happening and a vocal come down that's happening. On set of a film or a television project, I am a little more loosey-goosey about it, because I know I'll have a little bit more recovery time. But I do think about it. It is about trying to breathe so that I'm not just sitting on my cords. But, you on a film set, you are doing it multiple times. And there are times when I would turn to Will and Carrie and say, I think I have one more in me before you're not going to have any voice for me for tomorrow. So, and there was one time I remember on American Horror Story in season 3, I think, where I had to have a steroid shot in the old derriere to get me through the day because I had screamed too much.
You're like a real like a touring musician.
That's
almost.
right.
That's
just me.
That's what they have to do. That's crazy. Yeah. It also like water, like a certain type of tea, throat coat.
No, those things don't actually work. Actually, the water is good to keep your vocal cords moist, but there really is the teas don't really do anything. Honey, they're like, it's like a hair product. It's not actually repairing your hair. It's just creating a barrier to make it look less frizzy, but it's not actually making it less frizzy. It's the same thing. Cut to like 400 doctors writing to me on Instagram being like, this is not so. This is not true.
Just block them all. Just ignore them.
Get out of here. You know what I mean?
I'm New York based. Congratulations on the Tony Award. Any plans to return to Broadway in the near future or future?
Yes.
Can you tell me any more?
No.
Okay.
But yes.
Fair enough.
And maybe sooner than anyone would like. Maybe.
Oh. No. Please. Yes. We wanted it to happen yesterday.
Yeah,
Please,
maybe
Sarah.
not.
Absolutely
We'll see. It's like I took a 10-year break from the theater, and then all of a sudden it's like every year there's going to be a new Sarah Paulson thing, and people are going to be like, go home. Sit down. Nobody wants to see it anymore.
Are you enjoying all the buzz around All's Fair?
Oh my God, of course. I mean, it's been a couple years since Ryan and I have worked together, and there was this writer's strike and the actor's strike, and then I went and did a play for almost a year, and now we're having this experience of we're about 2 weeks out from starting, and it's just, he's once again assembled just a who's who of the greats, and it's just, I feel really excited. It's something I've never really done with him before in terms of it being, I'm not playing a normal person, but I'm always playing some, whether it's Marcia Clark or Linda Tripp or Nurse Ratched or all those amazing characters I played on American Horror Story. This character is just different from all of that, which is hard to say given what I've done with him. So it's hard to believe given what I've done with him, but it is different. I'm excited.